everywhere you go, there is both this great fear psychosis that Gen AI is going to replace humans, they're going to rule over us.
So we sleep in fear because we don't know what the algo is going to do tomorrow. A Sam Altman wakes up with a hangover and changes the algo, or a Mark Zuckerberg has a different idea to it, right? You got to adopt really fast. Being fast, being quick and adapting, and of course figuring out distribution. This is key.
At best, we can be LLM agnostic, and as a founder, you have to problem solve every day. That is what you wake up to.
So, as we all know how fast Gen AI is changing, people call it black box, but I don't see it as a black box because I understand how things work.
We have developed is a synthetic human technology which helps you synthesize humans from just prompts, and these humans act like you.
Are they going to rule over us? Are their products going to rule over us? So it's still human intelligence that is trumping on what AI can do.
In terms of B2B, or let us say tools building on top of AI, this might be true. But what becomes more important is design at its core.
Things are going to revolutionize like how?
Simplification of things is right now needed the most of it's the need of the hour, I think, and AI will keep on growing, and it's just on it's just a trailer which you are seeing.
Welcome to another episode of Startup Table with AJ. AJ being me, Archana Jahagirdar, and I'm the founder of Rukam Capital, an early stage VC, and we're completely onshore. And sometimes I get asked, why do I do this? And the answer is quite simple. Early stage founders need all the encouragement, all the conversations, and the limelight, and they rarely get any of those. So, I thought it was a good idea to create a table which was easy, conversations flow, there's good food, and we can all learn from each other, and that was really the reason for this. And, of all the topics that I think everybody wants to know more about is Gen AI. I think everywhere you go, there is both this great fear psychosis that Gen AI is going to replace humans, they're going to rule over us, and every single founder should be building in Gen AI. So today we have a table of founders who are building in this great, grand new technology, and let's hear from them that are they going to rule over us? Are their products going to rule over us? So I'll ask each one of you to introduce yourselves and your startup, but briefly because we have a lot to discuss and talk about. So I'll start with you. Please introduce yourself and your startup.
Hi Archana, I am Priyanka. So I am building Stitch Magic, which is basically catering to ethnic wear market. So it's a AI powered visual commerce plus marketing SaaS platform for micro B2B retailers. The initial use case that we have picked is fabric vendors face a lot of problem while selling their fabric, primarily because customer is not able to visualize how this fabric will look after it gets stitched, and customer also has a hassle of not having the accessibility to stylist. So catering to this, we are building a full stack where we are not even helping the fabric vendors with this visual commerce enablers, but also helping them with the marketing on the WhatsApp business marketing, then managing their social media, creating the content for them using agents and image generation, video generation technology. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rishabh, and I'm co-founder of Personate AI. Personate AI is a virtual studio where you can create videos from just text. So just type in the text and Personate gives back to the video. These videos are centered around humans. So the technology we have developed is a synthetic human technology which helps you synthesize humans from just prompts. And these humans act like you, so you can clone yourself on Personate, you can clone your voice on Personate, and then everything is done by Personate. You might have seen our work on Aaj Tak, like AI Sana is our creation, Doordarshan anchors are our creation, Network 18. So we majorly serve in media sector and in learning and development.
So if I want a clone of me, you'll make it.
Yes. Your voice and visuals.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, Dikshit here. We are building for next-gen shopping experiences in India. Shopping has been much more an intent-led and a lonesome activity as of now, right? You have a search bar, you go and search for stuff, scroll through, find. We are taking it to a more discoverable experience, scrolling through stuff, scrolling through videos, or let us say user-generated content to identify what kind of stuff you love, and powered by an AI layer to kind of recommend stuff that you love.
What's the name of your startup?
Flicked.
Hi, Archana, Ahmed. I'm the founder of Opinium.ai. It's basically a perception and compliance intelligence platform. In today's world, everyone understands of the digital age how important is the social media and the online platform is. What we exactly, and in spite of so much of advancement of AI and everything, a lot of the companies still rely on the Google Alert, Excel trackers, post-reactive PR scans, and other things. What we are basically building up all on one platform, which helps the company not only monitor the brand reputation crisis, but also help them to be in right side of the law by aligning with the compliances. And that's what we do with our proprietary AI algorithm and the graph neural network which you're building up.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sanjeev Shankar. I've been a dental practitioner for almost 2 decades now. So I come from a family of doctors. So I've seen how much the value of trust is in patients and doctors, and I've seen it decline. So that was my main problem statement when I started my first company, which was Backup Doc, which essentially helps patients get a good second opinion and faster second opinion, and it helps doctors diagnose it better. So over the last 1 year, we have built an LLM on top of that, and that is our current company, Epic Doc AI. This LLM, what does the patient do when he has a problem? He Googles it. He says, I have a pain here, pain there. He doesn't know the questions to ask. So we have trained our LLM to act like an agent of a dentist. He thinks like a dentist, he asks the right questions, and he gives out a probability of diagnosis. Now add our X-ray IQ on top of that, it detects the pathology, and I believe that that gives the world's best second opinion platform for us.
Hi Archana, I'm Rahman. We are building Flick. So it's an fashion shopping app powered by AI, which lets Gen Z to shop. So basically, we see today mostly Gen Zs are influenced by social media like Instagram, TikTok, magazines to make the fashion choices. And they don't do a search unlike people used to do like white shirt, black shirt, like how millennials used to. They do white based search like corporate girly, boss lady, and all those searches. But current platform like current platform don't provide that insights or don't provide that level of discovery for them. So we have built powered by AI that analyze their intent and give them the right products. And also when they type something like I'm looking for what should I wear for our dinner date or what should I wear for Goa trip or Bali trip, it suggests you all the inspirations. And from that one app across various brands and marketplaces, you can compare and recreate the entire inspiration in single app. And the best thing that we thought is adding a social layer to it where people can share, collab, and one app for all their fashion needs.
Hi, I'm Amit. With 15 years of experience into McKinsey, Expedia, and Travelex, I started something of my own, which is called Nears. So I'm the founder of Nears and Nears for Business. Nears is Zomato for salons, where you can see all the nearby salons and compare and decide where to book. And on the Nears for Business is for salon owners. We are building like Netflix for salons, where they know exactly which service to send to which customers.
Hey Archana, first off, thank you for having us. My name is Mohit. My team and I are building Hypergrow. Hypergrow essentially is the cursor for ads. Simply put, we're like the AI ad assistant for marketers. So we help marketers across the journey of video ad creation, ad optimization, understanding who these audiences you can sell to at scale, and deploy our agentic workflows to lead optimize and make sure that the entire transaction loop of customers is closed. We worked with D2C brands, enterprise clients, and agencies as well who white label our platforms, currently retailing across US, Australia, Dubai, and India.
Oh, that's a lot of markets.
Yeah, so we basically, the video ad creation is a completely self-serve tool. We have clients across all of these regions who come in, buy the credits, create the video ads, optimize the ads on our platform. So it's mostly a self-serve product. Fairly young now in terms of this entire self-serve tool, but we're still getting close to 40-41% retention rates.
Wow, that's great. So I'm going to ask a very fundamental question to set the conversation rolling. What were all of you doing before you started? Like, what is the expertise in generative AI that you need today to build something in it? So whoever wants to start, we can go clockwise or we can go anti-clockwise or we can go random, whatever everyone feels, whichever way.
Yep. So,
you want to start?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, please.
so right before Hypergrow, actually, I was investing. So I've been investing at an early stage startup from an angel capacity and across a couple of Cat 1 funds too. Prior to that, I've been an entrepreneur. However, my journey started
Entrepreneur in what?
so I was building a platform called in the food tech space. This is back in 2018, 2019. It was called Kitchens on Rent / Chapter Foods. very similar to this startup called Dilse Food, which came on Shark Tank recently. So we're building it back in the day in 2017, 2018, raised some amount of capital, got a exit and acqui-hired by a unicorn of the agri space, right? So I'd been building for quite a long time, but I've been in the startup ecosystem since 2007, even before venture capital and startups were cool. And in hindsight, I was lucky enough to start working with this now popular startup slash company called Zomato. And even before it was called.
So lucky.
Yeah, but lucky because very few people have had the experience to work as a first startup, which becomes like a public listed company in hindsight, right? I think what led me to get into the Gen AI space and building with the team at Hypergrow was because, yes, we all agree it's the need of the hour in the future, but I don't believe that there is any skill set as such which is needed to build in the Gen AI space these days. I think we were all discussing downstairs as well. A couple of us are non-tech founders as well who are building into the space. And with the way compute is getting decentralized, knowledge is getting decentralized with the leverables of world, you can like launch app right and center. But what is key, I think, in this space for all of us, Gen AI or anyone who's building this space is distribution. How quickly can we get distribution, and how quickly can we adapt to new modern technology? Because for tomorrow, a Sam Altman wakes up with a hangover and changes the algo, or a Mark Zuckerberg has a different idea to it, right? You got to adopt really fast. So we sleep in fear because we don't know what the algo is going to do tomorrow. So being fast, being quick, and adapting, and of course figuring out distribution. This is key for any Gen AI founder, I guess.
Yeah. So for my side, I had myself difficult to decide which hairstyle suits on me, and am I visiting?
But what were you doing before this?
So yeah, as I mentioned, so I was with McKinsey for 5 years, Expedia for 3 years, Travelex, and in IT, AlgoSec for me 7 years. So I've got like 15 years, more than 15 years, I would say 16 close to now. I was a software engineer by developer. I'm a Java developer, and with this AI is something that is booming, and something I picked up is only because to solve out the problem of so that people can see कि मेरे पास क्या suit करता है, मेरे ऊपर which color and which hairstyle suits on me. And on the other side, this market was very unorganized, so they don't know which service to suggest to which customer. So we created a business app for salon owners. अभी data सब कुछ उनके लिए बताता है that what needs to be suggested to which customer.
Yep. So as we all know how fast Gen AI is changing, and me being the machine learning engineer and research engineer from past 5 years, I have been in Australia and New Zealand banking group as a data scientist working on those models, and then post that I have been in fintech on building scalable fraud detection models and all those. And with all those, I have been also working on some research papers that has been published in terms of Gen AI and all. And with all that experience, that made me think there is something that can be built. And why I choose consumer tech, because back in 2020 I took an exit. I sold my company in German. It was a social food tech company that is also consumer based, that was acquired by a company called More Group in Germany. And my experience on that, and my experience on building models and learning about how Gen AI works internally, people call it black box, but I don't see it as a black box because I understand how things work. And with all my experience, both sides, selling a startup, building a startup from 0 to 1 in my consumer space, and my knowledge in Gen AI, made this make build flex for fashion industry.
Yeah, so my journey has been very different because I find myself as a tech founder with no technical background. So I'm a dentist, my parents were dentists, my whole family is made of doctors. So I genuinely saw a problem in the trust deficit, what we are seeing between patients and doctors. And I've seen it deteriorate. And for many reasons, you could call it media, or you could see a personal experience. So I really did, it affected me personally in my practice as well. And I started dabbling with AI in 21. And now there are such good education platforms out there and good AI tools available to code websites. So my first company, Bachelor Talk, was just vibe coded by me and one more guy on Fiverr. So it just took off, and from then we've built our LLM with our current team. So we genuinely are trying to solve the biggest problem in Indian healthcare, which is access to primary care. So we believe that anyone with an internet should be able to get a second opinion or a diagnosis. And that's when AI comes in with our LLMs and with our X-ray IQ. And if we solve that problem, we can start improving health in India, especially in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities a lot. So that is our main agenda in our company, has been to build trust amongst patients and doctors.
So hi, I think it's an interesting thing when we started the opinion, and I'll give you a little bit about my background. So I am basically from a consulting background, work in consulting for almost 10 years, where KPMG we understand the importance of data and how data start telling you the story when you start stacking it in a structured way over the period of time, and that's where something. When after moving out from consulting background, I was there associated with a lot of startup. And this is my third venture where one thing which I have been always been struggling around how the unstructured data, when I say unstructured data, which is all hovering across your online platform, social media, and when unstructured data is staying idle and you're using some open source tool to identify what should I narrate, what should I build, how should I communicate with my audience, whether it is relating to my audience or not, we start realizing there's a problem of something with can this unstructured data be structured and contextualized to a particular organization? Can this be contextualized and take a learning from what my competitors are doing and how I can become a more better aware person? And that's where the idea of opinion started, like how we can convert this unstructured data in structured format, build an AI models on top of it, so that the problem of data hallucination, the problem of unguided information coming out from some random sample, so that can be solved for. And that's where the idea of my consulting background is helping me to build a better product over here.
I mean, I kind of guess I am pretty young to have a long career here. So, I mean, I just passed out of college. So, I mean, I've been building prior to this. So, I used to be a professional chess player prior to this. I used to play amongst Cookies, Pragnananda, the best. And yeah, I mean, my relationship with shopping as a sector started back when I was pretty young. I used to list stuff on Amazon, Flipkart, sell it off, thoda paisa aata tha, pay entry fee for tournaments, etc. And eventually, this continued. They got me out. My mom and dad asked me to study for JEE, and then even then I used to sell stuff. So yeah, post that.
Did you crack JEE?
Yeah, I studied from IIT Delhi. So I mean, post which I started building from my first year, built an edtech business, scaled it up, got a small exit out of the same. And for the last 2 years, I've been building in consumer shopping experiences. Started with the meta search engine at first, scaled it up to around 60,000 users. Eventually failed, but learned a lot. And yeah, building Flick for almost 14 months at this point.
Okay.
So I have been in Gen AI since its starting. I have been the part of, I was doing Gen AI when it was not even termed as Gen AI at ISRO. So I was an ISRO scientist and I was working on mission like Chandrayaan 2 and all. So we were working on models where the satellite would try to super resolute an image on Kashmir maybe, or somewhere it needs to generate details. We were working on Gen AI from then on the ISRO, and then I joined a venture of Reliance Find. So then we were developing Gen AI products over there, where we were making images out of blue air in that case. So Gen AI has been totally into my blood since my career started, and we have been building different models from then and there, and that's where it all began. That why not synthesize a human and make it talk.
So I have been a product manager since 10 years, starting from 2014, more than 10 years. And I have a deep passionate about empathy, customer empathy. That's what drives me throughout these years. So I was leading product in .pay, where I was able to build the product and scale it. So B2B retail space was my taste. And obviously, being a woman, fashion is something which really excites me. So, considering all these factors, and GI was moving so fast, and there was so immense of opportunity, I started looking for use cases. And therefore, I realized that B2B space, even in fashion, offline space is completely wide space. And these days, everybody is so excited about AI that everybody is open to adopting AI. So that is when I started understanding from consumer side, business side, what can be the use case where I can help businesses establish their business. How can they basically scale that? So realize as a consumer that whenever there is a wedding, I don't know what to wear. What is good for me? At the same time, getting unstitched suit dress is very much my taste. But fabric, what it would look on me, what is, so all these problem I was able to understand that this is something which can be done. Imagining what is good for my body, how will it look after it gets stitched. Then from business side, I understood, okay, they don't know anything about AI. If I give this solution that they have the fabric and they can get things stitched, will help them sell more. And that is why I went door to door marketing my platform. So I understood they are doing WhatsApp marketing, they are creating content. A very, very small vendor shop is also has an Instagram page, but they don't know what kind of content they should create. The customer is coming to them, but how to utilize? They are doing WhatsApp business, but the entire experience is broken. Therefore, the idea of creating a full stack option of micro SaaS platform for these business retailer boutiques and all the vendors in the ethnic wear segment is what I picked as a first use case to solve for.
Okay, great. So I'm going to ask a slightly provocative question. Do you think technology and specifically Gen AI, is it moving too fast? And are you guys worried that whatever you've started to build is going to get obsolete even before it sort of sees its fullness? So again, whoever wants to take this question first.
Yeah, I mean, to start with a couple of points to answer that, from a couple of things that stood out from what she just said, right? I think the one thing which captured to my mind was when she said about adapting AI these days in corporates, right? Because I believe we've been building this space for a couple of years now. Exactly a year back, the story was completely different.
Exactly, it's moving so fast.
And moving so fast from two perspectives. One is basically from a technology perspective, and one is from a perspective of corporates or D2C or enterprising accepting it as well. The same people who we used to pitch to a year back used to just throw us out. Kya hai, chalega, nahi chalega, so on and so forth, because there was a huge mental barrier. What that helped us is basically we stopped selling, right? We just went back to the drawing board. We said, okay, we have conviction in this. We know or probably have a direction of where we are. Let's just start building. Cut to the VO3s of the world and everything. That customer education process they did for us. Now everybody wants the kya chal raha. So that is a fundamental shift which has happened. And yes, we do feel, and I think I can state for most of the founders in this spaces, as I mentioned before, is you never know what's going to come out, right? Having said that, I think most of us are piggybacking on the existing LLM, and I won't say piggybacking. The right word which I learned today is just to use leveraging, right? Yeah. So we're not piggybacking, we're leveraging these existing ecosystems. So when anybody asks me also that, hey, if tomorrow ChatGPT does something like this, or hey, a VO3 is launched, you guys will be destroyed. I said no, because our workflows and our intelligence systems are built on top of that, right? So the better they become, the better my output also becomes, right? So I won't say that they come and destroy us, but as I mentioned, how quickly am I able to adapt that into my workflow and make sure my output is correct? Because at the end of it, my customer does not care that am I piggybacking on his particular model or am I piggybacking on a Syngso, Hey-Gen, 11 Labs. उसको एंड में वो प्रोडक्ट का आउटपुट लिंक सिंक सही चल रहा है, रियल रख रहा है, वो अप्रूवल करता है, राइट? सो आई थिंक हाउ इफेक्टिव वर्कफ्लोज आर and how good our outputs become on leveraging these systems, I think that's more critical.
But on the point that the Gen AI is coming so fast, every day you wake up, you see a new model. Someone has released a new version of the model. So what's happening is that it's creating a lot of confusion in the market. There's so much tools to do, and right now what is needed in the market is simplification. So right now, every big tech is coming with their own model, which is more complex in nature, but better. So, but you never know if is it better for your use case, and you have done 10 different models to try, but which will work best on your use case. So simplification of things is right now needed. The most of it's the need of the hour, I think, and AI will keep on growing, and it's just a trailer which you are seeing. It's going to boom.
Yeah. Moreover, it is working. LLM models would work horizontally, but if you pick something vertically and solve it at the deep core level, not only utilizing AI but tech as a whole plus data that you cater, creating a differentiated distribution channel, then I think the fear from any release coming overnight, you'll not be scared of it.
Yeah, and data is key. So as long as you have good proprietary data to train the model on, I think your model will always drop. And adding to his point, yes, it can change anytime. So we'll always, all of us have to be LLM agnostic and just put our layer on top and hope for the best, because we genuinely won't have the resources or the manpower to ever make an LLM. So at best, we can be LLM agnostic. And as a founder, you have to problem solve every day. That is what you wake up to. So whatever it is, I'm sure we should be able to solve it.
Absolutely right. I think what he is saying is like what we understand is that data is the key. What exactly the concise, the constraint, and the limited environment can you structure. So what exactly we realize coming from consulting background again, I relate the importance and the power of data. Today, whatever is structured, it's not only the social media, how the social media data is linked to my marketing, how it is impacting my sales, how it is impacting my financial numbers, how it is impacting my investor relations, my stock price. All these things are interrelated. And I think the biggest strength lies in how efficiently you're building the relationship within data by using the efficient tools. Because as what is mentioned about over the period, the model keep on coming up. The model obviously has to be fed with the right set of data, the output comes up. Then what we have, whatever you put in input is equal to output. If you have a structured and a clean form data, and I think that is going to be the major differentiator for any company. And that's why we say we are creating a history, a repository for the company who we are working with.
I tend to agree that this is like really moving fast, but I'm not surprised. Back in the older days, Ek Ved, like this was the big book, or 4 Vedas, that was the entire education. We broke it down into small Shansipta yoga. And then we have books, and then we have articles, videos. Earlier YouTube videos were like 1 hour, 2 hours. Now then came to 20 minutes. And now even that 15 seconds of a short video is very short. So, वो जो patience वाला time था जब हम पूरा education इतना change तो आ ही रहा है, and the speed पकड़ रहे हैं. It's not like today we have started, like AI has started it, but the change is like coming from decades, and ये चलता रहेगा. The thing is, the good thing that with being in AI is take a step ahead, because world कल को इसी रास्ते पे जाने वाला है. Like now or later, data is the passion, data is the thing, and data is the future. So as soon as we adapt to this change and pick up the pace, जिस pace से ये चल रहा है, we have to pick that pace. That's where we can define the future. So I think it's a go. It's a wonderful that is happening in the world, and it's a wonderful change that is coming up. And I really foresee in the future, like it's going to be mind-blowing.
I have a little bit of a contradictory point of view, not saying right or wrong. I do agree to some of the points with respect to data and going into that vertical particular approach. But even when we first talk about data, I do agree about the importance of structure and clean data. But even yesterday, I was reading this particular article, and for all of us, I would agree that we have to be up to date with what is happening in OpenAI, what is happening at Claude, what is happening at Perplexity, what is happening at Anthropic, what is happening on Llama, right? So they themselves are facing the data problem. Like, for example, at our current day and age, we're sitting at this table, none of us have that much of capital to in the bank to be able to train models at that data. I mean, we don't have that much of data. Number two, even OpenAIs are now struggling with data is because now apps and websites, you have to say, I approve or reject your model to scrape data, right? So data is going to be a problem, and they're already sitting on tons of data, and then they're forecasting. So, so that's a different opinion when it comes to the data perspective. Yes, it is important, but how do you access it becomes critical at scale to train models correctly, right? Number two, regarding the vertical approach, the problem statement is basically now AGI coming in, artificial general intelligence, right? Now, if that comes in, if you have a vertical approach, unfortunately, you will become obsolete, right? The fact of the matter is, this is how the old way of functioning to the new way of functioning. Old SaaS companies went deep. They went vertical specific, they went very deep, etc. But with today's agentic workflows, it is easier for you to go deeper into multiple. So we call it the I approach, right? So you go across different and you go deep, and it is possible with technology. When it comes to speed of things, I think it's slow. Because
it's slow.
Yeah, it's slow. I'll tell you why. With the way things are coming today, not with the rate of adaptation now. Why I say slow is basically if you take a step back, couple of AI ML engineers over here might be able to support more of this, right? The entire formulas, the equations and all of this was all written in mathematical equations back in 1946 and 1950s. It's just that compute is available right now that you're able to see it, right? Yes. So it's a byfunction of cheaper compute, because of which we are saying. So the speed will be a byproduct of cheaper compute and of course data accessibility. So abhi to, I think as someone mentioned, it's just the scraping or the cherry on the cake. Things are going to revolutionize like how?
I kind of believe, especially from a consumer AI point of view, right? In terms of B2B or let us say tools building on top of AI, this might be true. But what becomes more important is design at its core. Right? If you look at all of the solutions out there right now, it is all a chat-based interface, right? Especially for categories that depend on taste or let us say discovery experiences, none of them have an interface as of now, right? So design comes in at a very core level, and I mean, being really open about it, the right questions to ask is what matters.
What prompts are you using to
So it's still human intelligence that is trumping on what AI can do. Now, this is the moment at which we turn the tables a little bit, and you guys are welcome to ask me any questions. I'll try and answer on behalf of how I think, how Rukam thinks, and maybe even a broader investor lens. If anybody has any questions, please go for it.
I think one common question is why do investors would have more risk appetite and more patience capital to,
Can I give you an honest answer and it'll get me into trouble? But why don't we have Sam Altman and Elon Musk?
invest? Yeah.
No, why don't we have those founders here?
Interesting. I think, I mean, I don't have an answer for that, but I think so while building, right? I think सबसे पहले तो while we are building in India, questions भी आते हैं हमारे ऊपर यार तुम क्या बनाओगे? Where do you be like depending on the Western counterparts. Like to give an example, there's this one project which we just won in Dubai, and why I say lucky for us is because we were benchmarked against 12 other international startups, right? So there was an American startup, there was a Serbian startup, Australian startup, and even then after that there was an Indian startup which starts getting highlighted and gets selected. I don't think we are celebrated enough. Like, let's be candid enough. We don't think we're celebrated enough.
Indian founders are not celebrated.
We're not like early stage Gen AI Indian startups. Are like this is a forum which is exactly
welcome to the table.
Correct. Thank you. That's it. Thank you for having us. But we're not celebrated enough. Like right. So you guys are taking initiative, which is good for us. However, I think more of such initiatives need to take part in it, is because
like what kind of initiatives would you like?
I want to use this word, but this word effectively also has not distributed well in the Indian startup ecosystem. Is why do we not have like a proper AI grant system? Now I'm reading that basically the government is also creating an AI fund. I think 10,000 crores or something has been committed, etc. But there's a difference between committing a fund being created versus that capital being distributed, right? And that capital being utilized. वो distribution वाले layer में नहीं दिख रहा है अभी. Why I say risk capital is also because power law dynamics startups, most of us will fail as well. So do the LPs also have a risk appetite capital?
So I think you answered some of the questions indirectly. So yes, I think we need more LPs who have very high risk appetite, because in India, it's not so much startups are not celebrated, but failure is not celebrated. Then we look through a lens of, was there some malafide intent? Was money siphoned off? And that's very difficult to explain to people, especially if they come from traditional business mindsets, that these are companies that take high risk and therefore will fail or can fail, but then the outcomes can also be large. So I think, yes, there is, and that permeates across all aspects of this country, whether you talk to people, can make policies, enabling policy, as well as LPs, because if you raise rupee capital, that becomes a big question that, why did this startup fall? And I'm like, you tell me the number of even traditional businesses that succeed all the time, right? I mean, the whole point of business, not just VC power law, is that there will be failures.
Yeah.
The question is, what is your appetite to continue despite an earlier failure or failures? So there is an issue, like I said, I mean, in fact, I keep getting asked, how can you give this valuation to a loss-making company? And I'm like, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
It's risk capital. I mean, if I over-dilute the founder, then there is not much skin in the game left for the founder. So then it puts my money at risk.
I think it's an interesting point when you mentioned about the malice piece, is because we just raised from the value from a small fund, and our DD took the longest because of the issues which is happening with the builder AIs of the world. Like सारा सब कुछ दिखाओ, सब कुछ वीडियो दिखाओ. And I'm like, sir, क्या हो गया? नहीं, Indian startup ecosystem, we're very scared, we're very scared. So one of the sentiments which we are seeing raising Western capital is this. So I think as entrepreneurs, I think having healthier DD policies, getting solid data.
And I think being transparency, my view is that, we have a ecosystem which is, there is a trust deficit. When I say ecosystem, I mean as a country, not just the. So I think one has to recognize that, and then therefore be willing to answer those extra questions and not do anything that can break that fragile trust that gets established, right? But I think that there are some founders who do see this as a get rich quick scheme. You raise money, then siphon that money. Also, those cases have happened, unfortunately. So, it takes two to tango in that sense. So, there is that LVP. Second is, I've said this a lot on this table, and I'm going to repeat myself. We're an undercapitalized country when it comes from the perspective of risk. Risk capital, to my mind, I mean, it's been in the country for a while, but not to the quantum of the number of startups that are emerging and the way technologies are changing, right? I mean, so again, there's a big mismatch. And so, therefore, the ones who have whatever little risk capital, you want to be, and the VC business is a very brutal business, which most founders don't know. So, everybody's as good as their last fund, because if that fund doesn't perform, you can't raise another fund, and that's it. Then, you're over. So, therefore, you want to spend a little bit more time trying to assess that, let's say, if there are 100 AI potential founders you can back, you'll try and back the most probable success story rather than try and give it to,
Well, I think but just last point of this, I mean, what we also end up struggling is, for example, when there's a D2C brand, right? So there are a lot of SaaS companies or consumer tech enablers as well. D2C brands still have the ability to go and raise probably a debt capital, right?
No, they can't.
But like I see
They
a lot of
can't.
people holding and raising like a couple of funds.
They can't. No, you how? See, again, even for a consumer company, I mean, at the point where they can raise risk capital, see, no bank will give you debt, zero, right? No venture debt will also give you. In fact, venture debt waits for venture capital, which is the risk capital, the equity capital to come in, and at a certain size and scale. I mean, when you're in the 0 to 1 journey, it's impossible. It's impossible. So it's not. See, again, everything looks better on the other side. You think those guys have it easier, but it's not the case. That's not the case. Any other questions?
I have one.
Can I ask the youngest member of this
Sure.
table to be respectful of young people?
Absolutely.
I mean, I kind of, disagree to the fact that we do not have quality founders here. In terms
I
of,
didn't say that. I didn't say that we don't have. No, I said what do VCs want? Like I said, if let's say there are 100 founders to back, and there's only, let's say, 10 rupees of total risk capital available, who will you back? Will back the person or the company, the idea that has the most ability. And it has to be proven ability also. So, like, if you look at Sam Altman, he has a big career behind him. I mean, OpenAI is.
OpenAI के पहले उनका career.
क्या बात कर रहे हो आप?
YC
अगर रिसर्च करो Sam Altman पे.
YC के पहले social network startup.
अरे but जो भी है ना career. I mean, in building products, in working with founders, working with. I mean, you can't say कि कुछ भी नहीं था, right?
You can't say.
मीरा मुराटी ने शुरू करा, उसका भी career है. So point I'm making is that, look, even in the US, a capital is available only to the top, I would say 1% founders. I think sitting here, we do like to knock ourselves a little bit and say, oh, nothing is perfect or nothing is happening here. But everywhere, the top founders will get the bulk of the capital, risk capital, right? And is somebody better or worse? It is a judgment call. And maybe some good founders will get ignored. But my point on that is, if you're a good founder looking to build a great company, then it's also on you to be able to explain that to an investor. You can't put the blame and onus on the investor only. It's a two-way again conversation.
I kind of get this point, but at points, obviously, I kind of feel at a pretty good point at this point to sell to investors. But probably a few of my batchmates I've seen build brilliant products but not able to commercialize it just because of the factor that Indian ecosystem tends to kind of monetize, or let us say invest in folks with who come up with let us say a longer career term. Let us say a batchmate of mine built an SLM, which is a small language model for let us say data analysis on top of flight data. So you have flight data, a bunch of paperwork that can be automated there, grows a market over there. And the fact of conversations that I introduced him to a few investors, and I looked at how the conversations went, is the fact that he was just passing out from a college. So that eventually gave me this question out, right? So
No, I think, look, I think we are all, our judgments are formed on a small data set. And since all of you guys are into data, I would urge you to look at it in a broader way. So it's not true that just because somebody's coming out of college, they can't raise capital. I think the question for a VC is, again, and it's a very, very important question, and in Gen A, I think it's even a larger question. What is the part you can monetize? How do you create a business out of it, right? And if you go back in the past when Facebook first emerged or Google first emerged, that was a question that was asked of them also. And Google also was rejected despite Sergey Brin's absolutely brilliant paper and the US government backing them, on the back of what the paper that he had written. So it's not to say that it's easier in other places. It'll always be easier when there's more capital, but like I said, it will always chase the. So let's say if in our IITs or in our engineering colleges, there was somebody like a Sergey Brin who wrote that kind of a defining algo and paper, 100% I think, that person will get funded. Now, the second part is if you're not able to explain what will be the business use case, at least some aspect of it. I mean, you can't fully understand it because you're also on a path of discovery. Then an investor is going to say, hey, what am I funding then? Is it a research project I'm funding? Which is not a VC's job to do.
True.
Right? So it's also that. Now, sometimes what happens is VCs don't want to give the real reason why they're saying no. So they're likely to have said, oh, you're too young, wait for a little bit. Maybe, because also what happens is that then it becomes a bit of a debate. You're not professional enough to learn how to accept a professional no, a professional rejection, which is also what you've signed up as a founder. I mean, not everybody's going to say yes to whether it's your business sort of, vendor. I mean, anybody you talk to, potential employees will say no to you. So many people are going to say no to you. So you have to learn how to accept that rejection, and then there can be a more honest conversation. But a lot of VCs fear that it will become this tussle of, oh, how dare you? Oh, you're stupid. You didn't understand. I'm building this great. Arrangement is such a great project that you will find money. Also, is my view. And that's the point I was making about, it's one thing to say that Sam Altman has, that this is a great product. But again, it would be meaningless if he didn't know how to raise money. Because the kind of money and capital he needs to build it out to the point that when it can generate enough revenue. So it is on the founder to be able to communicate and generate that trust. And of course, it's a function. It's, Warren Buffett has said this classic thing that he would not be Warren Buffett had he been born in any other country but United States. Because of the depth of that market, the amount of capital that is available, the ability to churn your investments and to make that kind of money. So it's also a function of which geography and market you're in. So you've also got to be, a little bit aware of where you stand and not compare everything to the US or to China. I mean, it's good to aspire to build that, but then realize, where and what is possible today. So it's not about youth alone. In fact, I think I'm sure a lot of older founders tell me, "Oh,
Yes.
you guys back these 20-year-olds and you give them so much money. Like, what about us? And nobody wants to talk to a 40-year-old." So everybody sees things that nobody else is getting sort of investments. Any other questions? We've got last 2 minutes.
I have one. So how traction matters to a VC? I'll put it like straightforward way is, let's say in my app, we launched it to one sector. We have 25 salons, 3,000 customers. We have repurchase rate 46, CAC, CLTV, everything is there. But still the market is unpredictable. Let's say we have done it in one sector and now we are expanding in entire Gurgaon. In last 45 days, we have 250 salons onboarded.
What's the question?
So question is, how do a VC see that the numbers from one sector or one segment, let's say it's a price sensitive market where I've cracked, now when going to a larger market, how does a VC?
So there's no standard answer to that, because it depends on, does the VC perceive it to be really cutting edge technology, which is when they could take a step back and say, okay, because the tech is just so out of the world that we try and then maybe, but that's a rarer sort of outcome. In certain sectors, even if you've cracked, you imagine you've cracked it, but sometimes what has happened is if there have been founders before you who tried to crack that sector and it hasn't worked, then VCs will be a little bit more wary of that. And that happens again across consumer and technology, so it's not specific only to technology. So it depends on where you burned your fingers in the past. And therefore what happens is that when you invest in something which hasn't worked, the VC also then learns a lot more as to what are the things that are so trenchant in that category or sector that it'll take a lot more to crack it than, let's say, what a particular founder would have done. So it's not a cookie cutter sort of answer. And different VCs also invest across different stages. Somebody will say, I'll do pre-revenue, pre-product also, back of the envelope. Some will say, no, we want to see some traction. Some will say, we only see traction in certain verticals. So it also depends on who are you talking to and what is their company. So on that note, guys, I have to close this table. I want to thank all of you for being here. I hope you enjoy the food that is on your plates. The conversation was definitely interesting on this table. And I want to thank all the founders for being here. And I'm going to request all the founders who watch Startup Table with AJ to subscribe to this channel, to encourage the founders who take time out to share their experiences, talk about their problem statements, educate us about what's happening in their domain. So guys, please do subscribe, and thank you everyone.